Hello, everyone. My name is Gregory George, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to the chic Paris apartment of Bernard, our amorous air traffic controller near Orly Airport in Paris, sometime in the middle 1960s. Today, I'm chatting with Ralph Small, the director of the St. Mary's Community Players production of BOEING BOEING. Mark Carmeletti's classic farce. You can catch this riotous performance from April 23rd to May 9th at the historic Town Hall Theatre here in St. Mary's. Get ready for an evening of laughter, fun, and a bit of chaos.
That's very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done.
So, welcome, Ralph.
Thank you.
You have quite the resume you bring to SMCP, and we're really happy to have you on board. So,
Thank you.
can you give me a little bit of background about what you've done and where you've been?
Well, it all started many, many years ago. No. I think I caught the bug very early on, and so I've been in the business. It's almost 50 years now. 50 years. Doesn't feel like it, but yeah, I started when I was like 19 or 20, and I'm proud of the fact that I've dabbled in everything in the business: theater, film, radio, voice work, commercial work, industrial work. And that's kept me going throughout the years. And in the middle there, I was teaching at Sheridan College at the U of T in Mississauga for about 25 years. Part-time, of course, because I was still doing this on the side. So I don't know if I've done everything there is to do, and I don't know if I've done everything I want to do. But in recent years, I think I've come very close to that.
Hence the gray beard.
Indeed, yes. Every one of these hairs is well earned.
So tell me about BOEING BOEING. Classic farce. I'm curious, how do you describe the nature of farce to someone who has no idea what's involved in putting on a farce compared to a drama or, let's say, a typical comedy?
Well, the first thing I would say about it is a comedy, through and through, high comedy, which is code for very low humor. And the way I've approached it, and it's a very particular kind of theater involving, witty dialogue and slapstick and buffoonery and all those physical comedy elements, right? I mean, the only thing I don't think we have in this is a banana peel to slip on. So, but the way I've approached it, for me, it's a collision of human behavior under extraordinary circumstances. And it's about these people who are trying to control their lives in situations or in predicaments of their own making. And in doing so, they run into extremely absurd situations and encounters. A man, playboy of the Western world, living in Paris, is involved with 3 women at the same time. My God, so, and it's the 1960s, no less. So hilarity ensues after those women's schedules are kind of mixed up and the airlines' timetables are a little turned on its side, and they all end up in the same apartment at the same time.
At the same time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like I count 7 doors on this set. So it sounds like much of what is happening relies heavily on timing, the doors slamming, physical chaos, right, essentially?
I think that was the first thing I asked the producers. Are we going to have slamming doors? And luckily they said yes. So I've bought into every single farcical trope there is to buy into. The slamming doors, the timing of it all, the mistaken identities, the over the top plot lines, the situations, the wordplay that these people engage in. So yeah, I went deep into the farcical elements of this play.
So, have there been any challenges with the execution of the precision, I guess, for lack of a better word, and how have you been tackling those challenges?
Carefully, slowly, through something we called rehearsal, practice. Practice does not make perfect, but practice gets us close to the punctuation. The door slams are the punctuation of the piece, right? They're the commas, they're the colons, they really set the piece apart from a normal kind of rom-com kind of comedy. And it just so happens that in rehearsal, if I see anyone come in and out of a door and they don't slam it, I stop the rehearsal and I say, you've got to slam that door. You can't go in and out of a door without doing that. The other thing is, you know, a lot of patience is involved because this is not an easy kind of comedic form to, you know, to inhabit. And I find it very difficult myself, but I know that it's exaggerated. Right. It's hyperbolic.
So this show can look, you know, kind of wild and effortless from the audience's perspective, right? But it's anything but easy, obviously.
Yeah, it looks out of control, but it takes a lot of rehearsal to make it look like that.
Right. So how can you describe the work your actors are doing essentially behind the scenes, you know, to fill the comedy, to get them ready for it?
Well, one thing I've made them aware of is the dialogue. And I've encouraged them to make it about something, to make it about themselves, struggling, fighting. So I'm talking about the human condition a lot because I don't want just caricatures on stage running around, flailing around. I've encouraged them to be three-dimensional. And I think that they've embraced that. They're human beings having big problems. The other thing is in the text itself. There's certain key words in the text that are repeated and then repeated and then repeated a third time. It's the magic formula of comedy, right? You introduce it, you set it up, and you knock it down. Right. So we've had a few tutorials on the wordplay of the piece. You know, I'm leaving home. You're leaving home? Yes, I'm leaving home. You know, it's that kind of exaggerative utterances that stand out for an audience, that make them think these people are in real crisis mode and are trying to fix their lives as they're moving along.
Well, that's also classic comedy, right? By the numbers.
Yeah, by the numbers.
1, 2, 3, right? With the button at the end of it.
Well, this is basically some of my, you know, directives as we're rehearsing. Let's just do it by the numbers.
Right.
Let's just do this moment and this moment and this moment. Now, let's put all those moments together and see how they work out.
So how has the company of actors taken to your direction?
Oh, not very well.
They're actors, after all. Come on.
Oh, they've been resistant from day one. No, I'm kidding. No, they've been, I told them very early on, and I tell them every other rehearsal, how lucky I feel to have found them to be in this cast. You know the old adage, right? 98% of, you know, what you do is about casting. So we didn't have a massive turnout, but the people who did turn out proved to be the right people for the part.
Right.
Their sensibilities aligned with the characters, right? So the company is very, very strong. And it takes time to earn their trust because I dispense a lot of I don't know, I call it tough love, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to, there's got to be somebody at the helm steering the ship.
Yep.
And I'm always trying to find, new ways to say awkward things,
Yeah.
not new ways, but better ways to encourage them rather than feel as if they're not
Right.
coming up to snuff. So, but they all are. They all are. It's amazing. And thanks to you and the company, I think there's a real. We develop some social bonds as well, which don't hurt because they translate on stage, because they begin to trust each other, and they need to trust each other because there's some, shall we say, intimate moments that happen on stage.
Really?
Yeah, which the audience will go, whoa.
Yep.
Yes, or they may go, whoa.
It's interesting that you mentioned the cast because this is, it's a mix of newcomers and veteran SMCP people. And I personally have noticed through the rehearsal process how they have bonded and connected, right? And,
Yeah.
how has that shaped the rehearsal process for you? From an actor standpoint myself, I want to understand that the people that I'm standing on stage with they've got my back, right? And it's so much easier once you connect, I guess, socially or off stage, and you trust each other and you can laugh together. That brings a whole level of performance to the actual production.
Yeah, I want them to feel comfortable with each other. There was an email I got the other day from one of the actors in the cast, and it really had nothing to do with what's on stage, but I sensed something was going on with them. So absentmindedly, I just checked in with them before rehearsal started. And lo and behold, they were going through some things in their own lives. And they thanked me very much for actually, connecting with them. And so consequently, they may or may not have developed a certain trust for me. And I emphasize that in rehearsal. We have to start trusting each other. We brought an intimacy coach in, right? Which is done frequently in professional theaters these days to navigate those kind of tricky parts. Mm-hmm. I think they appreciated that. I had to stand away from that because, I didn't want to get too involved in that process for one reason or another. I don't know what it is, but it felt good to just look at it from the outside in. The company itself has been fantastic in supporting these people, mm-hmm. and putting their trust in them. So I think they feel that from you and from the producer, Stephen Brockwell, and whoever, they feel supported. And the times they don't necessarily feel supported by me when I'm giving that tough love, that direction, I'll notice those moments and I'll say, look, this is the task at hand and we've got to commit ourselves to it. And they understand that having fun on stage is serious fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So without going into a whole bunch of detail, are you able to kind of give a little shout out to your company of actors? Rick is Bernard and Allison is Gretchen, Sandy is Robert, Alex is Gloria, Anne is Bertha, and Jessica is Alitalia Stewardess.
Yeah, Jessica O'Connor. Can you be both ballsy and vulnerable at the same time? That's her. Amazing. And I suspect she's a bit of veteran community theater player.
Yeah, she's done, this is her second show with SMCP. And I actually have had the honor of being on stage with her. So
yeah,
she is very giving. And
isn't she though?
And is a sponge, I would say.
Allison Mullings, she's a natural-born comedian, and I suspect she's got a very strong, sensitive side as well. Mm-hmm. But the other day I compared her to Carol Burnett. That's how funny and spontaneous this woman is. She's from Cambridge, right? We were very lucky to have her walk on the door that day of the audition. I had no idea. She literally tears this set apart with her presence. Rick Hastings, apparently he's never been on stage before.
I've heard that.
But he just filled the bill so beautifully, and we have got into a lot of conversations about acting and you know what it takes and what it needs and how to rehearse. And I've even lent him some of my own books that I keep by my bedside table, you know, remind me of what to do. Sandy Stevens, a local guy. Man, the other day after a great run through, I said, "Man, you're the brilliant bunny in the headlights." You know, there's something so innocent, and wide-eyed about the guy, and that's the nature of the casting I was talking about. His sensibilities align so much with the sensibilities of the character. Alex Peterson, I fell in love with her when I came to see Costin Manu's production of Hilda's Yard, and I thought, oh my God, I hope she auditions for Boeing Boeing. And she did. Whip smart, that girl. She feels to me like she doesn't suffer fools gladly. You know, she's that receptive, but at the same time, she'll go her own way. Who am I missing out? Oh, Ann Jackson.
As the world-weary Bertha.
Yeah, for me, she's the mother of this group, and I mean that in a complete complimentary way because she's so supportive. For weeks, she texted me like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. Questions about the production, suggestions about what she could do next rehearsal, permission to do this, questions about, you know, what I meant during the last run through or whatever. I did tell her to stop texting me at 6:30 in the morning.
I believe she has a yoga class and a Pilates class at 6 a.m. So,
But she'd still text me because she not only wants to learn, but she's extremely dedicated to making this the best performance she could possibly make it. Who am I missing? Anyone?
I think that's it.
Yeah.
What do you hope audiences are going to take away from this production? Besides, of course, sore cheeks from laughing.
It's a world of hurt out there right now in the world. I want them to take away something that feels a lot lighter than what they've become accustomed to in the last little while with what's going on. Despite how you feel, whichever aisle is the side of the aisle you're on. I'd also like them to walk away with this sensation that coming out to the theater is a celebration of community, and that we experience the liveness of theater, that we're watching human beings on stage go through the machinations of fixing their lives or, you know, getting ahead or anything that happens in this play, that they can relate to it somehow. And yeah, not only walk away with sore cheeks, but with just sore guts from having laughed so hard. Because I think we can definitely guarantee that.
So finally, you know, as you careen down the runway, getting ready for takeoff.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Towards opening night. What would you like to say to your company as you head to opening night?
To the company of actors, or yeah?
Sure.
Play, have fun with each other. If I were still the director, I would say, listen carefully, pay attention to what's going on. I don't get all Stanislavski on them, but I do tell them to kind of inhabit the soul of the characters they're playing. Channel them. Why? For the audience. To give the audience a hell of a good time and to enjoy the craft of acting for the benefit of making an audience walk out of here thinking to themselves that they've just had one of the best theatrical experiences they've ever had. That's kind of stretching it, and it gets a little, you know what I mean? But that's how I feel. I encourage them to do that all the time, you know, to work diligently toward not just being community theater actors, but being the best possible community theater actors they can be. And my God, I've seen some of them rise to the occasion more times than I've had hot dinners, because they just feel very professional to me sometimes.
Excellent.
And that's the joy of me kind of walking away at the end of it and leaving the play in very good hands.
Great. Thank you, Ralph.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Tickets for the run of Boeing Boeing are available at our website, stmaryscommunityplayers.ca, or you can buy them locally at Troyer Spices in downtown St. Mary's. Get ready for a riotous evening of chaos, love, and a couple of door slams.